Welcome to the Napa Valley Center for Spiritual Living. We are a vibrant, inclusive, and spiritual community that seeks to live intentionally, love unconditionally, and see God in all people and in all faiths. We believe the work we do in prayer and in the community creates a world that works for all cultures, races, orientations, and faiths. For over 60 years, we have practiced thinking globally and acting locally to help awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. Annually, hundreds of people actively participate in our services, classes, events, and in our Spanish-speaking ministry. And we are training the next generation of spiritual leadership in our ministerial school. In the last few years, because of apparent divisions politically and socially, and because of threats to basic human rights, we have magnified our application of science of mind principles with engagement and compassion in action in the greater Napa Valley community. Our members have participated in women's marches, pride events, and we have hosted speakers on racial issues. We have empowered and mentored diverse leaders in our community and given scholarships to diverse ministerial students. We have donated over 4,000 pounds of food to our local food bank. Our spiritual director, Reverend Jay Lang, has facilitated an interfaith leadership group to hold public prayer vigils and 9/11 commemorations in participation with Jews, Muslims, and Christians. We have fostered the creation of a beloved community in the larger Napa Valley area by honoring community heroes at events and tithing to and partnering with a dozen different nonprofits that share our vision. Together, we've created a Martin Luther King Day of Service where over 1,200 participated in community service annually. The leadership of our parent organization, the Centers for Spiritual Living, headquartered in Golden, Colorado, recognized our community for all of the outstanding, compassionate work we've been doing over the last few years with the 2022 Meritorious Community Award. As we move forward to do this work of the heart, to awaken the world to its spiritual magnificence, will you join us as we continue to ascend to new heights and create a world that works for everyone?
Napa Valley Center for Spiritual Living, and whether you're here in person or online, wherever you are in your spiritual journey, we're really happy that you're with us today. My name is Laura Keller Coyote. I'm a practitioner here. I'm really honored that Reverend Jay asked me to be the hostess today. He's away and he'll be back soon. I'd like to welcome our musician, Calvin Johnson, and he's going to open up our service today with a song. Thank you, Calvin.
Good morning. Good morning. Aren't you glad to be alive? To be humble, to be kind. It is the giving of a peace in your mind. To a stranger, to a friend, to give in such a We are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace. We are war. We are how we treat each other, nothing more. We are how we treat each other, nothing more. We are how we treat each other.
Thank you, Calvin. I think that's a perfect song for how we're all feeling today. So if this is your first time here or your first time in a little while, we offer you a special welcome and we'll acknowledge you a little later in the service. We like to begin our service by repeating our vision and mission statement. So please join us on the screen here. We are a community for spiritual growth and compassionate action. In our mission, we are co-creating a world that works for everyone by living intentionally, loving unconditionally, and seeing God in all people and all faiths. And so it is. So we have a wonderful service planned for you today, and before we get started, of course, there's a few announcements. First, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge what happened yesterday. I think our hearts are all heavy, and our love and blessings go out to those who lost their lives and those who were hurt, including Donald Trump, and just knowing there's no place for violence in this beautiful world. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. So we have a wonderful, wonderful guest speaker today. It's Reverend Dr. Georgia Prescott. She founded a vibrant and powerful center of our denomination in Sacramento called the Center for Spiritual Awakening. She's now in semi-retirement. Yay! And we're blessed to have her join us today. She's also offering a workshop today at 12:30 called Say No, Hell No to Graceful Aging. No reason to give up, life after 50 and over. So Reverend Georgia will be using spiritual principles to create a new paradigm for folks between 50 and 99, or even 100, for lives of greater abundance, purpose, connection, and joy. The workshop is $30 fee. You can pay at the door. Reverend Georgia says if you can pay more, that's great. If you need to pay less, that's okay too. Other announcements. So, Saturday, July 20th is the continuation of the Unbottled Free Summer Concert Series. We have two people coming. They were both people featured at Porch Fest. There's Sarah Rodenberg. She's a singer-songwriter, acoustic folk rock songs born out of the south side of Chicago, textured with inspiration, grit, and warm California sun. The next act is Beyond Fab. It's a 5-piece band. It's a tribute to the post-Beatles solo work of John, Paul, George, and Ringo after the Beatles broke up. And we have a short video of Sarah, I think. Okay. No video of Sarah. And no video of the Fab Five because of copyright permissions. So you can bring a picnic dinner, beverages, or a portable chair. You can get reserved seats in the front rows for $25 or 2 for $40, or you have a new option for a table for 4 for $60. There's also free general admission. So please join us. All right, next. So Friday, July 26th is the Napa premiere movie of Bad Faith, a documentary written by Peter Coyote, actor and narrator, my wonderful husband. And it's about the forces tearing apart our democracy that have never been more frightening or powerful. But who's actually behind them? Bad Faith reveals how Christian nationalist leaders have spread fear and anger for decades, distorting political issues into biblical battles between good and evil. There's limited seating, so we urge you, you have to register online, and we urge you to register and get a seat. It also addresses Project 2025, which is the 900-page document to upend our democracy as we know it. Will that be shown here? It will be shown here on Friday the 26th, and I'll have more information about that a little later. And it's free. So please come. I think this is one of the most important historical documentary films of our time, and everyone needs to see it, so please join us. There'll be other opportunities to see it, which I'll talk about later. Okay, and next, Saturday, July 27th is Crush MS, our wonderful event sponsored by the Reeds. It's their annual fundraiser for research and prevention of MS. It's a core part of our center's community service outreach. You can volunteer if you like to be at the event, or you can buy a ticket and come to the event. And there's a sign-up sheet outside. Okay. So I'd like you to know that the practitioners are here for your prayers. Whoops, did I skip something? Nope. Well, I'll say something about that. It's not my script, but it's okay. So we do have our Spanish-speaking services, and Imelda Gomez leads those, and I'm not sure what times they are, but I think it's all, the information is on the website. Meditation every Wednesday at 6 p.m. And practitioner services. So I'd just like to say a word about practitioner services. The practitioners are the healing arm of the church. With Reverend Jay, we pray for you in the ministry of prayer every week. We love to pray for you. After the service, we're happy to do a short prayer with you. There's a box in the lobby where you can put a prayer request, and I check it every Sunday and Monday, and sometimes there's no prayers, or one prayer, or two. So, put your prayers in, because we absolutely, it's our job to pray for you, and we love to do it. It's an honor. So please do. So now it's time to begin the sacred part of our service, and we'll begin with a song.
And let it out with a sigh. One more. Let every breath I breathe be sacred. Let every word I speak be true. Let every song I sing be holy and only bring me close to you. Hallelujah. A blessed day, a blessed day with my God, hallelujah. A blessed day with my God. Let every breath I breathe be sacred. Let every word I speak be true. Let every song I sing be holy and only bring me close to you. Let every breath I breathe be sacred. Let every word I speak be true. Let every song I sing be holy and only bring me close to you.
So if you'd like to close your eyes or soften your gaze, just take a moment, like Calvin suggested, to take a breath and to feel that still indwelling presence, that divine grace and goodness, which is God, Goddess, all that there is. And lest we forget in our worry and our fears or our troubles or our heavy hearts, this divine intelligence and unconditional love breathes us and beats our heart. It has the sun rise and set, the tides in and out. It is the world and expresses in and as and through and for each of us. So keeping this in our thoughts and our mind, we just give thanks for this day. We give thanks for being here together in this service, for the beautiful words spoken by Reverend Georgia, for the beautiful songs by Calvin, for our time in this sacred place together. So just giving thanks for this. We hold this silence for a moment. Just knowing this is the truth, we let this be, and so it is. So I find it ironic that I worked on my spiritual reflection all week, and it's what's in my heart and my mind right now is prayer and politics. So how does my spirituality and my faith intersect with my engagement in political activities? I've often thought of it as separate and mutually exclusive, but now it feels part of my practice, part of prayer. It's the creating the world that works for everyone. It's the same as working for truth and democracy. And it becomes a part of the ministry of prayer, of our contribution to healing. So a wise Buddhist I know defines politics as the formal relationships between people and groups. They can be positive or negative, democratic or oppressive, about power and greed, or about cooperation and respect. But however we define it spiritually, whether it's the saving of all beings, alleviating suffering, working for good, defending democracy, fighting autocracy, it's compatible with our spiritual principles, and it's inclusive of both practice and action. So in May, I saw Bad Faith for the first time in Sonoma at their event at the Sebastiani Theater. It's chilling and it's frightening, but it felt to me like a personal call to action that we had to bring this film to the Napa community. And so a small group of us got together and we call ourselves Keep the Faith Napa. And we got to work to bring the film here so as many people can see it as possible. And I said this a moment ago, I think it's the most important historical, truth-revealing documentary of our time. So it's going to be here at the center, as we saw, on Friday the 26th. It's going to be at Napa Valley College at the Performing Arts Center on September 9th, and at the Cameo Theater in St. Helena on September 16th. It's a free event to the community. You do have to register. More information will be coming out. So in the midst of dark forces, Christian nationalism, threats of autocracy, election and media madness, debate disappointments, lies, divisiveness, gun violence, soaring temperature, heat domes, hurricanes, sometimes I find myself in a kind of functional freezing where I feel compartmentalized or sort of robotic, anxious and fearful. It's kind of a subtle form of paralysis that can diminish my joy and my vitality, and mostly my courage. I may find myself holding in my thoughts and consciousness fears of a dystopian Handmaid's Tale future, and I'm getting a new passport and thinking about moving to Canada. But that's powerful and negative and not good, because it means I'm thinking and acting in a way like that grim possibility is always true, already true, and it's not. And I also don't want to fall into a sort of spiritual utopian fantasy denial where I pretend everything's good when it's not. So that brings me back to prayer and the ministry of prayer. It's my great honor to have been a practitioner for 10 years, to have been trained by Reverend Janet, who always told me to worship the God or goddess of your own heart. And every week the practitioners come together in a creative, sacred circle of the divine. We enter into that divine consciousness, into that creative matrix. And we pray for individuals, all of you. We pray for each other, all beings, the nation, the earth, democracy, for divine intervention, healing, unconditional love, whatever's needed. So those prayers compel me to take action, and I speak my word in consciousness, knowing the truth of unity and democracy for our nation, and I speak it from my own personal lineage of goddesses and sacred priestesses. I hold that in my heart as the truth because I know it's true and it already exists. And I try to take action from this place of consciousness, from a place of optimism and good, what my husband calls radical optimism. As Ernest Holmes urged us to turn the preponderance of our thoughts to good, and I can slip all the time or forget, and I have to remind myself and keep at it with prayer and action. And as my dear friend Joanne reminded me the other day, treat and move with your feet. So that's what's mine to do right now. I think it's what's ours to do, to be part of this great healing and forgiveness of our nation, to hold that in our thoughts and prayers. So it is. Okay. So now I'd like to introduce Reverend Georgia Prescott. She's a dynamic and humorous speaker, a gifted teacher, and compassionate counselor. She is known for her storytelling and bringing the wisdom of spiritual masters from all great religions into her talk. Whoops. Calvin, excuse me. I'll introduce the rest of you later.
Georgia is the bomb. That's right. That's right, and Laura Keller. And so are you. Y'all are the bomb. So remember that this week, when stuff goes sideways, I told you you're the bomb. Remember. I'm the bomb. I'm the bomb. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rend, a time to sow, a as a season turn, 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 and a time to every purpose under heaven.
Thank you, Calvin. It's a good thing we didn't miss that. So back to Reverend Georgia being the bomb. So, she founded the Center for Spiritual Awareness, then called the Sacramento Church of Religious Science, in late 1998, shortly after graduation from Holmes Institute of Consciousness Studies. She received an honorary doctorate from Centers for Spiritual Living, and it is a 2014 inductee to the Martin Luther King Jr. Board of Preachers, Morehouse College. She's also the sister-in-law to our community member, Peggy Prescott. She's also written this book called Powerful or Powerless, a spiritual, not religious look at the 12 steps, and she'll have copies available outside afterwards. And we were just talking about how the 12 steps, it's really a code for living, not just for people in recovery. So a beautiful book. So please welcome now Reverend Georgia Prescott.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. I got this. Yeah. It's great to be here. You know, I was born and raised here. It's not just that Peggy moved here a few years ago and my brother, but we were longtime Napa people. So it's kind of, I woke up this morning and I was a little nervous. Oh my gosh, I'm going to my hometown to preach. It's kind of like, so you'll all just give me some good vibes and nice prayers and, thank you. Now, here's what I know. I know that most of you come to this church frequently, and I know that a few of you don't come to this church because I know that Peggy dragged some of her book clubs, some of her tennis group, some of her best friends over to the church this morning. So I want to just spend a second talking about what kind of church this is. Because even though I come from the Sacramento church, we're really very similar. Every church has its own personality, but we have the same basic message. So I want to say that the Spiritual Centers for Spiritual Living were founded by a man named Ernest Holmes. And what he did was to look at all of the religions that he could find and a few Greek philosophers, and he looked for what was similar in each of their messages. And he brought that into this beautiful philosophy that so many of us have found life-changing. Now, this church has many, many, many beliefs, but they all boil down, I think, to four. The four beliefs are these. Number one is that God is all there is. Whatever you call that entity, Allah, Elohim, the sacred grandmother tree, infinite intelligence, divine wisdom, whatever you call that, that's all there is. There's no external evil. There's no external devil. Now, there's plenty of evil and plenty of devilishness in this world. We know that because we experienced it yesterday, didn't we? It's a terrible, terrible thing. No matter where you are on the spectrum, and I want to be careful here because I want to be authentic. And I know some of you are having a little guilt about, he missed. He missed. But the truth is, he needed to miss because violence in this country has no place in our politics, no matter what we believe. Every human being is sacred. So what we believe is that there's no external evil, there's no external devil, but evil and devilishness starts and stops right here in the minds of human beings. And you and I can be ground zero to begin to understand that there's no need for political violence in this country. We can prevail with love in this country. Yeah. The second belief that we have is that all thought is creative and influential, and as a result of that, we're thoughtful what kind of thinking that we do around here. We don't beat ourselves up. If we have a thought that doesn't work, a creepy thought, a thought you're ashamed of, your thought, oh, I hope nobody knows I thought that thought, don't beat yourself up. We simply go on and put a positive thought in behind that. In fact, to tell you the truth, I'll tell you a secret. I don't blame myself for first thoughts. I do hold myself accountable for second thoughts. So all thought is creative and influential. Doesn't mean that it makes manifest every time. Not every thought you think is going to come to pass, but it is going to influence your subconscious. And that is how we drive our life, through our subconscious. The third belief that we have is that, and this gets tough, this gets really tough. Everything in our experience is either a call for love or an expression of love, no exceptions. Either a call for love or an expression of love, no exceptions. So if we can, somebody flips you off on the highway, call for love. And our job is to return love to that moment in whatever situation that we're in. The last belief that I think of the four that sort of sums up our philosophy, and if you don't remember anything else, remember this: you are whole, perfect, and complete just as you are right this second. You may have behaviors you want to change. You may have attitudes you want to change. But at your essence, you are whole, perfect, and complete, and nothing can change that. Nothing can change that. So that's kind of what Science of Mind is all about. You will notice that I'm using a board that has such big font that you can probably read it in the back row. And even though I'm a proponent of saying hell no to graceful aging, I have to recognize that sometimes I need some assistance here. So that's why that is. So good to be here. I always like to anchor my talks in a simple spiritual principle that Ernest Holmes has taught me, because Ernest Holmes changed my life. I can honestly say my life was pretty much a mess before I got into 12 steps, and it changed my life. And then after that, I needed something just a little more, and this is what I found. So today's principle that I'm going to look at is we are always at choice. We are always at choice. Now, we may not like our choices. It may be easier for us to get into victim mode and say we're stuck. I don't have a choice, but we're always at choice. Ernest Holmes says this: we cannot live a choiceless life. Every day, every hour, every moment, every second, we're at choice. For if it were not so, we would not be individuals. That's a powerful teaching. The question is not whether we have choice in our life. It's whether we're willing, whether we have the courage to make a life-affirming choice for ourselves. Not for our kids, not for our neighbors, not for our spouse, but are we willing to make the life-affirming choice for our life? I have a story that I love to tell. It's about a little boy named Rogelio. And Rogelio's parents wanted to take a little weekend away. And so they asked the grandfather if he'd take Rogelio for the weekend. And the grandfather was a little nervous. He hasn't been around little kids for a while, and his wife had passed on. But he said, sure, I'll do that. And he went down to Target, and he bought a plastic ball and a bat. And the kid came over, and after a couple of hours trying to entertain him, he didn't know what else to do with him. So he said, Rogelio, go out in the backyard, why don't you, and play with your ball and bat. So the kid goes out there, and he throws the ball up, and he takes a swing, and he misses. Throws it up, takes a swing, and he misses. Swing, and he misses. Swing, and he misses. He does it about 10 times. And the grandfather's watching from the kitchen window, and he goes out, and he says, honey, how are you doing out here with the ball and the bat? And the kid says, oh, Poppy, I'm the greatest pitcher ever lived. Rogelio knows how to make a good choice. Sometimes making a choice means that we have to choose and to act before it's comfortable, before the rest of the world is ready for us to act on that choice. I was not going to wait for marriage equality to become a reality before I had a beautiful relationship. I met Donna, and it began. I wasn't going to wait for wage and and wage parity to happen for women and for people of different race before I welcomed prosperity into my life. I was going to make the choice and just do it. See, I invite you to join me in making a choice stopping looking outside of your life for anything in your life. Sometimes the hardest choice we have to make is to change something about our own life. Everyone needs to change something about their own life. Only you know what it is for you right at this moment, but you do know what it is. Now, of course, for most of us, myself included, there are many things we could change about our life. I'm talking about the one thing you need to change this year to stop running in place. This is the time. It's different for everybody, and I don't know what it is for you, but I know everybody has that one thing. And if you could keep your focus on that one thing, you would be in a totally different place a year from now. The one thing is not new to you. It's something that you've thought about. Maybe you've even talked about with a trusted friend or a beloved in your life. But it slipped by. You've lost focus. And you lost track. And you came away feeling like it was never going to happen for you. Maybe it's a habit you need to break. You know what it is. You've tried to break it before. And if you could push a magic button, and in 6 months that habit would be gone, you would push that button. Maybe it's a goal you need to accomplish, a project you need to complete, a relationship you need to restore, or a relationship you need to complete and be done with. The truth is, there are people here this morning who, if they could push a button and there would be no warring going on, no shrapnel left around, they would push that button and they would move on. Maybe your one thing is debt. You know you need to deal with it. You feel guilty about it. You carry it around with you all the time. You've even been coming to a church like this long enough to know that if you don't deal with the debt, you'll never welcome prosperity into your life. But it's always elusive. You can't stay focused on that one thing long enough to erase it. For many of us, it's nutrition and exercise. We want to keep the body fit temple, to live the life that God intended for us to live. But we lose focus. It involves things that are hard, like cutting down on portion size. I hate that. Going to a gym. Joining it and actually going there the next day after you joined it. None of these may be your one thing, but my guess is that by now you've found your one thing. Because here's the thing. One things are never far below the surface of your consciousness. How great it would be in 6 months you were able to say, hey, I got this. I didn't lose focus. I kept the one thing. I want to tell you a biblical story from the Tanakh, sometimes called the Old Testament, that has within it one small verse that can help us keep the one thing. It's the story of Nehemiah, and it takes place in 440 BC. Nehemiah is the cupbearer to the king, King Artaxerxes. Now, Noah is the guy who tastes the wine. That's what a cupbearer does. He tastes the wine to make it sure it's okay. Nobody's trying to poison the king. Today we might call him a sommelier, but he was a cupbearer. But he was actually much, much more than that. Because of who he was on the inside, a trusted man, a wise and kind and trusted man, he also became a friend and an advisor to the king. Even so, he remained a Jewish slave. Well, he was treated well, he was well respected, but nonetheless, we want to all remember he was a slave. Well, one day, Nehemiah was speaking to a friend who had just returned from Jerusalem, and he asked the friend, how are things going there? And the friend painted a very dismal picture, saying that the wall around the city was broken down, and in some spots it wasn't there at all. Marauders were constantly molesting and stealing the residents, and they were terror-filled all of the time. So Nehemiah did what we do first. He began to pray. He prayed an affirmative prayer that said, "Great and awesome God who is loving and kind, watch over my people in Jerusalem." And he asked for guidance. What God should I do? What's mine to do in this mess? And God said to him, you need to go there. You need to go to Jerusalem. See, and he was afraid because he wanted to ask the king if he could go, but he knew the king loved him. He also knew that he was a slave, and slaves don't get sabbaticals. You don't just get to go and be somewhere else. But the king was fine. He said, look, I'm going to do better than that. I'm not only going to let you go, but I'm going to make you the mayor of Judea, and I am going to give you all the materials you need to rebuild that wall. But here's the one thing. You have to come back, because I'm not giving you up. You still are a slave. So he goes to Jerusalem, where he finds the walls, which have been torn down for over 100 years, in the earlier time of Babylonian. It had never been rebuilt, and the vast majority of people there had never lived with the walls up. And this is important. They thought that the constant theft and molestation of the residents was just the way life is. And that's what happens to us. When we get to ignore the one thing, it becomes just the way life is. It's just what happens. It's how it is in this world. And when we try and point out, no, look, that doesn't have to be the way the world is, sometimes people in the world aren't happy to hear that information. They would rather hear, this is just how life is. Well, the people of Jerusalem had no national pride, no sense that God was with them. The warlords in surrounding areas just came in when they wanted and took what they wanted. And when Nehemiah arrived and he saw what was going on, it broke his heart. And he spent a whole day and a whole night just walking through the city and observing what was going on. And he came to this conclusion. If I don't get anything else accomplished in this time, I've got to rebuild the wall. There's an economy to look after. There is an infrastructure to rebuild. There are leaders to groom and get in place. But I'm going to make the rebuilding of this wall the one thing. So he got the people together and he cast a compelling vision of what life would look like if they rebuilt the wall and stopped the marauding. Now that's important because in this church, we believe in visioning. We believe in the power of vision and the power of casting that vision, of sharing it with other people. And Nehemiah did too. Hundreds of Judeans joined Nehemiah in working on the wall. Well, the warlords could see what was happening, and they became really upset. Sometimes when we start or think even to make a change, these negative self-sabotaging thoughts come into our mind, and self-doubt begins to creep in. The warlords, led by a guy named Sanballat, said, who do these people think they are? Haven't we heard that in our life in some form or another? Maybe it's just the rolled eyeballs. Maybe it's this with somebody else that's standing there when you cast your vision. That's what happened to Nehemiah as well. Sanballat organized some resistance to the wall. He infiltrated the workers. He sent spies. He started rumors. And when that didn't work, he got an army together and they began to attack the workers. Some of us have had Sanballats in our own tribes and in our own families, trying to pull us off our wall of just one thing. Nehemiah had to pull the guys off the wall and use half of them as defense and half as workers. It slowed things down, but it didn't stop anything. Why? Because he knew what the one thing was. And he kept the one thing uppermost in his mind. Well, Sanballat and his friends realized that if they wanted to interfere with the wall, they were going to have to get to Nehemiah himself. So they wrote a letter and they invited him to lunch. And they sent a courier with the letter, and he would go to, and he'd stand below the ladder that Nehemiah was working on, and he would shout up, Sanballat wants to invite you to lunch. I have a letter here. Come down and get the letter. And Nehemiah would say, I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down. Now, the whole point of this sermon is that phrase, I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down. So will you say that with me? I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down. Let's say it again. I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down. Sanballat's courier went away 4 times, and 4 times he came back, and Nehemiah said the same thing. I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down. There are Sanballats in your life who will distract you if you let them. Oh, you can have just one drink. I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down. One piece of cake isn't going to hurt you. I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down. Oh, that dress looks so good on you. Just go ahead and put it on your credit card. I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down. There are so many things in our life that we could use that phrase with. Maybe you have a child or a grandchild that right now is waiting for a letter from a university or a college that's their first choice, and when it comes in the mail, they don't get in. You remind that child there are more opportunities, more choices, and that they are doing a great work, and they cannot come down. You know, I'm doing a great work and I cannot come down is kingdom consciousness. If you will find your one thing and apply this simple wisdom from the Bible, and some of us in New Thought, we are Bible phobic, aren't we? Ooh, the Bible, isn't that cute? Oh, that's so cute, they have that Bible. No, there's lots of wisdom in there. And if we would be willing to just take that one phrase and use it for a month, for 28 days, it will become habit for you. I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down. And I promise you, by this time in 6 months, your life will be totally different. Let's take this message into prayer. Knowing that there is only one power, it's the power of love. And it runs through each and every one of us all of the time, every time. And if we can allow that power to come into consciousness, we begin to have a whole new life. We see life with totally new glasses. We see that we are always at choice. We hold ourselves accountable because that's the way of love. I give thanks for this. I release this word into law, and together we say, and so it is. So before I sit down, let me just say a moment about this workshop. We're not trying to fight aging. I am getting older, and I recognize that. And with it comes some challenges. I have arthritis. Just last week, a tooth fell out of my head. I didn't think I was going to come here because you don't want to come with a front tooth out of your head. I was fortunate to get a dentist that could take care of it. But there are things that happen to us because we're aging. But my worry is that we are beginning to believe the story that society tells us about what older folks should be like. So we're not fighting external aging, we're fighting internal aging. How much have we bought into that the world is telling us how we should be and how we should think and how we should act? So I invite you to come and join us. It's going to be, we'll have some fun. I am going to do a little mini lecture. I'm not going to do a lot of talking. Most of the work will be done by you, but it will be an opportunity for us to look in to see, what have I bought into here? Have I bought into that myth, that myth, that myth? So I hope you'll join us today at 12:30, and thank you very much for being here and me being here.
You can spend your whole life building something from nothing. One storm can come and blow it all away. Build it anyway. You can chase a dream that seems so out of reach, and you know it might not ever come your way. Dream it anyway. God is great, but sometimes life ain't good. And when I pray, it doesn't always turn out like I think it should. But I do it anyway. Crazy, and it's hard to believe that tomorrow will be better than today. Believe it anyway. You can love someone with all your heart for all the right reasons, and in a moment they can choose to walk away. Love them. God is great, but sometimes life ain't good. And when I pray, it doesn't always turn out like I think it should. But I do it anyway. I do it anyway. You can pour your soul out singing a song that you believe in, that tomorrow they'll forget you ever sang. Sing it anyway. Yes, sing it anyway. I sing, I dream, I love.
Beautiful, thank you. I'm just going to move this over. And thank you, Reverend Dr. Georgia. That was beautiful. Aren't you happy you're here today? It's like, wasn't that the perfect message that we all needed to hear? Wonderful, thank you. So now's the time in our service where we share our abundance with each other. And we're grateful for all the support that we have, that everyone gives us, both of your time, talent, and financial abundance. And there's many ways to give. You can give online, by text, or in person. And if you'll come forward, please. And we have an affirmation that might be here up on the screen, but you probably remember it. All right, here we go. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. And so it is.
Loving Spirit, I am free. So many gifts upon my table. Loving kindnesses to me. Living Spirit, I am grateful. Loving Spirit, for the way, for this rich, abundant living every single day. And I give thanks for the knowing. I give thanks for the way your love is overflowing every time I pray. And I thank you, God, for one good day.
Practitioners like to join me up here. So just to remind you, the practitioners, we're here to pray for you. We love to pray for you, so please bring us some prayers. So if you're here for the first time, we'd like to acknowledge you. If you're willing, could you please raise your hand, and we have a small gift for you. Welcome. Right here. And we'd like to offer a blessing. Here's another person, too. Welcome. We're so happy you're here today. And there's snacks and coffee outside afterwards, so you can meet people. There's lots of wonderful people here. So we'd like to offer a blessing that's listed in your flyer, and it's for our newcomers and any April birthdays and anniversaries. So sorry, I'm reading from the script. July birthdays and anniversaries. So I think we remember the blessing, so let's say it together. We bless you today, knowing that the peace and happiness you seek is also seeking you. We honor your inner radiance as you let your light shine in the world. We are grateful for your presence in our community. So, are we bringing children up? Come on up. Yay, come on up. Hi. Did you make some things? Oh my gosh, do you want to show us what you made?
Sure, can I take this thing down? It's very intimidating. So Jay left us a little sheet to go through, and one of it was create an affirmation. So what was our affirmation today?
I'm strong.
I am strong. And then we talked about all the ways we could be strong. And what was your way? Strong where? Not just in your muscles, but where?
Your heart.
Mm-hmm. And you had an example. Do you remember it? Do you want to share it?
Yeah.
So she had a friend who was sad. And what did you do for her?
I gave her one of my stuffed animals because it was show and tell day, but I gave it to her.
And what did that make you strong? Because it was what?
My favorite toy.
Your favorite. And then Jazzy, what's another way we can be strong? Not just in muscle and heart, but where else?
Your brain.
Yeah. And Because what? Sometimes people say really mean things to us, and does that mean we have to believe it?
No.
And do you want to show your picture, Lorelai?
Right? You're that. Want to show your picture?
I love her. Oh, you want one more thing?
We were reading a story about a tree and a little boy who grew older and older and older. And the tree was happy when he was a little boy, but he started to grow and the tree said, "Pick my apples so you can have money for a house." And then he came back after years and years and years, and then he asked, "Can you give me a house?" And he said, and the tree said to cut the branches off and the leaves off. So he did, and then he came after years and years and years, and he said, I need a boat. Need a boat. Can you give me one?" And she said, "You can cut my
What's it called? The giving tree. No, the trunk.
The trunk." And then he left to go somewhere else. And then after years and years and years and years, he came back, and then he said, and then the tree said, "Do you need apples?" "Well, I don't have any." "Do you need a boat?" "Well, I don't have any." "And do you need branches?" No, I don't have any." But he actually said that he needed somewhere to sit because he was tired and needed to rest. So she said, "You can sit on my trunk stump." And that was it. And
were they both happy?
And they were happy forever. The end.
Thank you.
You are a very good storyteller. Thank you so much.
Good job, guys.
All right, so let's stand for our community affirmation. So repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening through me right now. I am led by Spirit. I am guided by wisdom. I am protected by love. I am here to be a blessing. I'm so grateful. And so it is. Let's sing our song together.
Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. One last time. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now.
So please go forth with peace, with love, and knowing you have a choice, and come back for the workshop. Thank you.